Okay, looks like I'm streaming now. So let's hope the sound is fine and we're going to get started. Let me just quick check a couple things. Looks like we're okay. And I have a lot of questions that are already on here. If you have questions, just type them here in the YouTube chat and I'll just try to get to them as quickly as I can. Although I have the right to skip any question I feel like it. If I don't answer your question, you can always figure maybe I've answered it in a previous Q&A. That's possible, and I'll answer some of them more often than not, but we'll see. Okay, say you live in a region of the country that has seasons. Yeah, if snow had a flavor and you could choose which flavor, what flavor would you choose? Blue raspberry. Have you ever stopped playing with someone forever because he was a bad loser or a bad winner or because of his behavior? Forever is a pretty powerful word. I don't know that I would say forever. But I would say perhaps not likely that I would play with certain people again. There's very few people that I would not speak to because, or not play with, I mean, because of the fact that they don't, that they're bad losers. Sorry, my mind just went blank. That they're bad losers, but it could happen. Okay, have I played the new expansion for Sentinels of the Multiverse? Not the newest one, no, although I like to. Have I ever gotten around to playing the obscure games Z brings during the top 10 list? City Baba and Senji come to mind. I have not. Have I played Omega Centauri yet? No, although I did take it to my latest meetup and get a chance to play it there. I mentioned on today's Board Game Breakfast about possibly taking on another member of staff. Could we have some details, please? Well, there is really no details. It just depended if I got enough money. I got someone in mind that I could possibly take on, but different things would have to fall into place for that to happen. We need more women on the dice tower. Why do you think fewer females play games than men? That would just be all guesswork on my part. I think that there was a long time in the hobby where women were not made to, and I still feel that's often the case in many circumstances. A lot of where hobby gaming happened, which was at comic book stores or even small game stores, had a lot of photos or pictures up on the wall that just totally objectified women, and it was just wasn't for them. I think that's changing. As will we see more female podcasters and video reviewers? I'm trying to raise a couple, but I mean, other than that, I put out the call and I'm just waiting for them to come in. That I'll have on as many on the show as I can, really. Why be reviewing the new Garbage Pail Kids Super Snot Shots dexterity game? Well, I don't have it, although I'd love to review that because Garbage Pail is a fond memory of mine. When I first, my dad found Garbage Pails at a store. It was during the height of the Cabbage Patch Kids craze, right? So he found it, and on the front of the thing, it showed the atom bomb, his head like an atom bomb, and my dad thought that was hilarious. So he bought a pack, brought it home to me. My parents are very strict and conservative, so when I opened the pack and started looking at the other cards, they were horrified by some of the gross cards that were in there. I was delighted, of course, but they never bought me another pack. But I still think they're cool. Am I going to review Tragedy Looper at some point? Yes. Lucas says, I recently purchased Marvel Legendary. If you can get a big box, Villains or Dark City, and a small, what should I get? I would get Villains just so you could mix them up together and have good guys and bad guys. For small, that's a tough one. They're all good. The Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, Guardians, whichever heroes you like best. Was Z's video totally improv or was it scripted? It was mostly improv. Z said, okay, I'm going to do this now. Okay, I'm going to do this now. And I said, how about you do this? And then, okay, I'm going to do this now. And he said, I'm going to call someone on the phone. Who should I call? So we kind of worked on it together when we just shot it all, and then I edited it all together into one thing. There was a lot more video shot than you saw. But it was a lot of fun to do. Why haven't you not reviewed? I guess that means why haven't you reviewed? Okay. Any of the new Sid Meier's Civilization games, especially the last expansion, Wisdom and Warfare. Why didn't I review the latest expansion? Because I don't have the base game. I don't recall that I reviewed the base game. I did review it on the audio podcast because I never actually got a copy. I played somebody else's. Now that Z is on board full-time, well, not necessarily. He'll be on board full-time in February. He'll be helping me on a lot of different things. There will be a new weekly Z show, and he'll be helping me on reviews, so you'll see him maybe do some reviews on his own, and or also combining with me for different reviews. He'll also be helping on a lot of behind the scenes stuff. Can we have information about what will be appearing in Board Game Blender? Not yet. That's Z's, so I'll let him figure that out, and we'll announce it when it comes up. I have not kept it up to date on Android Netrunner, so I can't help in that regard. Sorry. Where do you find actual crystal pieces? Guardians of the Galaxy. Well, there's two places that I would go for that: Michael's and or Hobby Lobby, and actually a third possible place would be a fish store, an aquarium store, because they had these really cool crystals. But I mean, I was at Hobby Lobby a few weeks ago and I bought this big pack of crystals. They were just really great crystals, but I bought them for purposes of using in games, and they were really cheap. What needs to happen to trains in order to replace your Dominion? You know, the more I think about it, I really like trains and I like the board, but Dominion is so fast and furious and easy to play. I might keep both. But more expansions for trains, really. I mean, Dominion has so many cool different cards. The newest expansion for trains, the Rising Sun, was great and all, but it didn't feel like it was different. Unlike when Prosperity came out for Dominion, you were like, wow. So when I get that feeling from trains, it might happen. How do you go about introducing a new game, explaining the rules? Well, that's a whole video in of itself. I'll give one tip here. Tell people how to win first. That's the most important thing. Start with that, and then I'm probably going to do a whole video on that someday on how to explain rules to games. What's my favorite board game app? I don't use very many of them, so I like the one that keeps score if you need it. Can you recommend any game books? There are some, but off the top of my head, I don't know what they are. To improve reviews, wouldn't it be better that you made a presentation of the game before you play it, so we do not guess the outcome? I'm not sure I understand that question. So you're asking, would it be better if I showed how to play the game before I played it? No, because I mean, I like to have a little bit of commentary when I'm showing how to play a game. And I also, when playing a game, I often find out things that I read in the rules were incorrect, or I thought I had them. No, that's just not going to happen. How do you determine who reviews which games? Do I get first pick and then assign other games to other reviewers? Do you work it out amongst yourselves, random assignments? Well, I mean, if the game comes to me, yeah, I get first pick at it. Some companies will only send games to Dan and or Ryan. So sometimes I think a game is in their wheelhouse, so they'll do it first. But since I'm the only one who's doing it full time, it's my responsibility to try to get the hottest games reviewed if possible. So it works out that way. Basically, the games that we come across. Do me and my wife game? We do, but very rarely these days. She just doesn't like gaming that much. She'd rather I rather play with Melody usually because Melody's much more into gaming than my wife is. But when we do play, we like Lost Cities, Ticket to Ride. I taught her Paperback, which she liked. So those are some fun ones. What live games are you hoping excited to play once the Kickstarter hits 140,000? Party games and just games I think are interesting to watch. I don't have any specific in mind, but it will come. Kickstarter question. How much is the Promo Pack Z add-on going to be? Well, it tells you it's $40. I put it in bold, big giant print, and I'm still getting questions on it. I guess people stopped reading halfway down. But I'm really surprised. They're already 1/4 of them are gone. So actually a little more than that, looking at the screen over there. So if you want one, don't delay because they're more popular than I thought. Let's see. Is the Jack Vasel Memorial Fund still accepted? Yes, you can go to jackvasel.org and check there. You can always donate there. In fact, we just were able to help a couple people this past week. So I'm very excited that it's still running. I wish people didn't need help, but they do. And so it's good that that fund can help them. I mentioned my favorite restaurant a few shows ago, a place up in PA, which is Shady Maple. What's your favorite style of food? Do you go out with your game group to eat prior to a game session? And if so, where to? My favorite style of food, I'm pretty open about that. I really like Mexican, but I really like Chinese. I really like Thai. I really like Japanese. I really like Korean. I really like Well, I'm learning to like Cuban. I love American style. It all depends. I love Italian. It all depends what mood I'm in, really. Do I go with my game group to eat prior to a game session? Sometimes. I would do it every time. Some of the guys in my game group don't like it. They'd rather just play the whole thing. They'd rather order pizza in and eat. I can't stand that. I want to go. This past game Saturday, we all when it was over, we all went to a Chinese restaurant and ate. There was 8 of us, I think, just sitting around talking about games and all sorts of things. And I love that. I love that as much as playing the games. I would do it every time if I could. Let's see. How is the Shadows of Brimstone review coming? I don't have the game currently. I lent it to somebody who is putting the models together, so it's not coming at all. I keep telling people I am not in a hurry to do that review. Flying Frog did not send it to me. I bought it with my own money. Was very disappointed when I found I had to put all those models together and glue and paint and not paint but glue and cut from sprues and all that. So I gave it to a guy. He's going to put it together. We're going to play it. I'll review it. Then he can have it, unless I love it. But I'll probably still give it to him. My favorite Dice Master character power. My favorite character is Iceman. My favorite power is probably Quicksilver sidekicks. Let's see. If this guy, Josh, says his brother and his wife come over and they always play as a team, then when they play a game like Seven Wonders, they'll only buy resources from each other when possible. They'll always trade resources and they'll refuse to trade with other people. If one has no chance of winning, they'll do anything they can to help the other out, almost guaranteeing a victory. That is something I would be very specific to these people and say, if you do this again, I will not play games with you. Or if I do play games, I'll play games where you have no interaction with the other opponents, like Race for the Galaxy or something like that, because you actually have to. Yeah, I have no. That's one of the things I have very little tolerance for is collusion. I do not like when people work and help others out. Since Dice Tower people like crawlers like Descent and Level 7, gotta be careful with Dice Tower people. I'm assuming you mean me and or Sam. How comes you don't like Earth Reborn as much? I do like Earth Reborn a lot, but it was a little complicated and it didn't offer a whole lot of depth as compared to Descent. And Level 7 is just a much smoother game than Earth Reborn was. Earth Reborn was a great game though. I liked it. Will Jason do a strategy segment? We'll have to wait and see. I don't know. How does one start building up a game review channel? Should you review brand new games, old games, games you own, or what? Games you come in contact with. Just review everything in sight. Review stuff that you like at first so that you can be enthusiastic about it. It would be horrible to start out by reviewing things you didn't like. Just realized I should make sure this says, you can see this word shut here. A bunched up shirt could be bad. This says shut the door. Anyhow, how do you store your X-Wing and D attack wing miniatures? You do not wish to know. Sam was very angry when he saw how I had them stored. Let's see. Again, I'm looking for questions that are interesting. I'll answer them. Let's see here. Defenders of the Realm Minions expansion. How much does it add to the gameplay? I don't know. I haven't actually played it yet. I was just showing them to Sam the other day, so I'm sure we'll play them eventually. Do you still play Yido and Dungeon Fighter? Yes and yes, although not as often, but I like both of them and they're both still in my collection. On an earlier Dice Tower podcast, I agree with Eric that Sentinels of the Multiverse was a better game than Legendary, but in your most recent top 100 list, Legendary is higher because ever since then, Legendary has moved higher for me. It is one of my favorite games now. The more I play it, the more I like it. Who's your favorite character to play in Sentinels of the Multiverse? Probably, well, I do like Bunker. I like the new ones. I forget their names. I like the one that's a group of heroes, a group of small heroes. I really enjoy them. Do you think Francis Drake has flown under the radar? Well, I don't think so. A lot of people said they really liked it. It has a very high price point, though. That's the problem with it. Do you ever notice reactive prices increases the games you review on vintage or retro games? Maybe. I don't know. I don't know that there's any kind of conspiracy or anything there. I don't really track those numbers. You have mentioned reading fantasy and science fiction books in past Q&As. Have you ever read any of the Star Wars novels? If so, what are your favorites? I have read every Star Wars novel I think of up to where the Vunza Vong showed up. And I read that whole series, although it was a slog to get through it. My favorite is, of course, the Heir to the Empire trilogy from Timothy Zahn. I also like the ones that like Michael Stackpole's book. I liked the Kevin, what's his name series with where the Hutts made a Death Star that was just a laser, basically. I did enjoy that city book series. I enjoyed the Courtship of Princess Leia a lot. There was the Black Fleet was horrible. And there was a couple others I didn't really care for. But when they did all the new stuff, when it all came in, and these Vong stuff, it just didn't feel Star Wars anymore. These new aliens didn't feel Star Wars at all. It also got a bit soap opera. It didn't have this grand scale. They started doing weird things with the Jedi. And I've read a few of the books, but it was depressing. And Star Wars isn't depressing. Star Wars should never depressing. Sure, it can leave you with a cliffhanger like Empire Strikes Back, but it should never be depressing. And, you know, in Heir to the Empire, Thrawn was winning most of the time, but it was still fun. I could imagine seeing that as a movie. Kevin Anderson stuff. I could see what he writes as if it was a movie. This new stuff, just not feeling it. Especially with when the I can't remember what that's called. When the Vong came in, that whole series, it started off with a very depressing event where they killed off a major character, which I didn't mind so much. But then they one of the characters that they were building up to be this major point of the story, they killed him off halfway through in a very lackluster, not big of a deal way. And then they took another character. It was a very unsatisfying series. It felt like it wasn't scripted well. It felt like I just didn't like it at all. It was okay, but I don't know. There's moments. I'm a big fan of Cosmic Encounter and Rex. What other games would you recommend with these mechanics? Nothing personal, if I may be immodest. Can you recommend any games which are like Libertalia? Citadels. If you raise enough, who else would you... I already answered that. I can't seem to find Sheriff of Nottingham in stock. Cool Stuff says they're waiting to hear when another printing will be done. Another printing has been done. I think it's just being shipped to distributors at some point. You'll see it in the next month, I believe. With the booth and Essen stretch go back, do you already know who will come to Essen this year, and what do we have to expect from a Dice Tower booth? I don't know who's coming, but what you can expect, well, I mean, I'll be there. The Dice Tower booth, I'll probably be sharing it with another company. I'm not, probably Cool Stuff. And I'll just have a table there. We'll have some promos. I have a special Dice Tower that I'll only have at conventions. Actually, I can show it to you now. Okay, this here is a Dice Tower. You pop it open, and all the pieces come out like this. So they all fit inside this box like this. And then you can you raise the box up like this. Let's get this thing together here. Let's see how that fits. This fits on here, and this. And I want to make sure I'm putting this together right. Hadn't planned to do this quite right now, but hey, live putting together of a Dice Tower. No, that's not right. Can't remember how it even goes together. Hang on a second. No, that's not right either. All right, here's two of the sides, and the other ones go on. These go like this. Oh man, this is bad. How does this go together? All right, this opens up like this, and then this goes here, I would assume, right? Or come on, Vasel. You're smarter than a Dice Tower. All right, that goes in there for sure, which means this goes on this side. No, that can't be right. Well, let's just assume that it can go together. I'll have to show it to you guys later. I don't remember exactly how to put it together. I know it wasn't intuitive on how to put it together, but once it went together, it made sense. I'm probably going to have to include some sort of instruction guide as to how it fits together. But it does fit together, I promise. I already put one together. Oh, I have another one. Where is that other one? I have it sitting around here somewhere. Oh, I don't know where it is. Okay, well, that was very unhelpful to anybody involved. So, anyhow, but I will have one of those, and I'll have some other things at conventions, some promos, but mostly just to say hi to people. That way you know where we are. You can stop by, and we'll say hi to people there at the convention. Right. How do I decide on which games will be reviewed on Miami Dice with Sam? Basically, if Sam is free to record, and if he has played the game. That's basically it. Why weren't there more spots for guest hosting the Dice Tower in this year's Kickstarter? Easy question to answer, because it's extremely difficult to do that. We have to communicate with the guest. We have to get the guest on the show. We have to work with them. It's extra. It's double work for Eric to add an extra person on. And we wanted to add some more podcasters on this year, like maybe some of the other podcasters in the network, and have them maybe guest host an episode or two. And doing too many guest hosts, it's really exhausting on Eric. So that's why we only did one. Do you think that the Forgotten King expansion for Super Dungeon Explorer could give Arcadia Quest a run for its money? Possibly. I'll have to give it a try. I don't keep asking me about Board Game Blender. That is Z's show, and we have not yet planned it out. So when he has that ready to go, we'll announce it. I think we're not even going to announce it. We'll just post one and see what you guys think. Tiny Epic Galaxies and a reprint of Wallenstein are on Kickstarter. Any thoughts? Well, Wallenstein's a great game, and I love it. It just seems a little odd to me that it's on Kickstarter, because it doesn't seem like there's that many things on it that are different than just buying another copy of Wallenstein. Maybe I missed something when I went through it, but it looked like Wallenstein with the expansions, but they've already done that. So I guess they're just kickstarting the same thing again. So whatever. Tiny Epic Galaxies. I'm sure a lot of people are going to really like it. It sounds cool, but I haven't played it. With the stretch goal about the live monthly gaming session, are those going to be more like the 18-hour sessions? No. They're going to be single games. Maybe 2 games, but single games. I've already been doing quite a few of them. And I'm acting like we're going to reach that stretch goal because we're just doing them now as it is. I'm trying to make them weekly sessions, but if we miss a week or two, that's not a big deal. We'll definitely do monthly ones. I really like doing them. With the intense quantity of new games, even good new games, you still becoming burned out in the hobby anytime in the near future? No, I'm okay for now. I don't have to play everything. I just play. I do what I can, and I do other things to keep myself from burning out. I get it to tabletop and could play a game of my choice other than Cosmic. Why can't I pick Cosmic? What would you want to play, and what 2 other celebrities would you want to play with? I wouldn't want to play with 2 other celebrities. I would want to play with 2 people who were really fun to play games with. As to what game would I choose? I don't know. Nothing personal, I guess. I want to promote it. Oh, Sheriff of Nottingham would be a lot of fun to play live. Have you played Heron Tortoise? I haven't. What will be the stretch goals for 200,000, 250? I don't think we'll make that much. I'm not answering that. My family loves Ticket to Ride, but when we often have 6 players, can you recommend a game of similar weight and length for 6? Jamaica is one. There you go, Jamaica. What's the most unique theme that you've seen in a game that you actually liked? The theme. Too hard to answer that one on the fly. Sorry. I'm sure there's one, but I don't know. Books besides Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. I really liked the first 4 books of Robert Jordan's series. The Eye of the World, the Wheel of Time series. And I stuck with it. I read every single book in that series. I read some of them twice because by the time he put in the new ones, but he took too long to put out a book. He added too many characters, which is weird because I love a cast of 1,000 characters, but there were too many characters and there was really long stretches of bickering. I don't know if he and his wife argued all the time, but there was just this constant bickering. Men always thought women were stupid, and women just said, how could men not know this? And it was on. And women hated women. I mean, it seemed like nobody got along for long stretches of the book, and that's just exhausting to read. Silverberg, Robert Silverberg wrote a book, which I can't remember, about Lord Valentine's Castle. That's one I really like. And I just read that new series, The Name of the Wind. I really like those. Let's see, what other fantasy books have I really enjoyed? Well, I consider the Redwall series. I know it's for kids, but I've always liked those. At least the first 4 were really good. And I'm sure there's other ones that I've read that I've enjoyed, but they're not popping in my mind right now. My group displayed the new edition of San Juan this week and loved it. What other games can you suggest that are very similar besides Race and Roll for the Galaxy? Well, Puerto Rico, but there isn't really many that use that. I'm surprised there isn't, because there's a lot. That's a great mechanism. I'd love to see more. Red Raven Games versus Stonemaier. Which one's better? Probably Stonemaier, but Red Raven's pretty good. Which is a better 2-player game, Caverna or Fields of Arle? I think I'd rather play Caverna, but Fields of Arle is really good. I like them both. I'd play either one with 2 players. Do you have any games in your main collection that have never been played? No. Every game behind me, I've played. I have games in my shelf that are to be reviewed that I need to play, but none in my main collection. Is there a single victory of yours that you remember as being the sweetest due to how you played the game? Well, no, not anyone in particular. I really enjoyed beating Jason in Queen's Gambit recently. A most crushing defeat? Nothing that comes to mind. There have been games where I thought I was winning and then I ended up losing badly. I've been crushed so many times that it doesn't matter. Let's see. Have you heard anything about the new XCOM board game? Seems to have vanished, really, release date. I know it was delayed because of Star Wars Imperial Assault. I'm assuming we'll see it Q1, maybe March, maybe February, who knows. Have I tried the co-op scenarios of Descent 2? No, I like being the bad guy so much that I don't want to be I don't want to play co-op. Apparently, I'm really far behind in questions, but that's okay. I'm intrigued by one versus many player games like Descent, but always felt playing the Dungeon Master would not be fun. Well, if you don't think it's fun, then get someone else to play the Dungeon Master. I love playing the Dungeon Master. I don't want to play a player. I want to be the Dungeon Master all the time. What do you think about the fact that most females in fantasy games are wearing skimpy, often 2-piece suits? I think it's ridiculous and stupid. And it caters to teenage boys, and I wish companies would stop doing it. Although I've noticed a trend to less of that over the past couple of years, and I think that's a good thing. I mean, it's just dumb. We want more women in the hobby, and yet we chase them away with nonsense like that. I just bought Talisman all the expansions. Okay. Right, I know that my T-shirt is problematic. I am trying to... There we go. But that cuts off my head. How about that? There we go. Is that better? Hopefully. Anyhow, let's see here. For the Jack Vasel Memorial Fund, can you donate used games? No. We have a big auction every November, which you can put used games up for that auction, but we don't have the logistics to be able to handle games and sell them. There's two ways you can donate used games. You can also send them to the Dice Tower Convention. If you need that address, email me and I can give it to you. Where you can send games there and we'll auction them off. We have that auction where we auction them off live, and then we have another auction where we auction stuff off in November on Board Game Geek. But we can't handle piles and piles of used games. What are your thoughts on publish-on-demand services for new developers? They're fine as long as you use it for prototypes and such. I wouldn't recommend using it as a publisher. Do you still play and enjoy Battle Stations? I still think it's a great game. I just haven't played it in a very long time. When is Dice Masters DC coming out? This year, but that's the best I can help you out there. Am I going to review Gaia? I haven't got it, so it's not... I mean, if I got it, I might review it, but I haven't seen it. Let's see. Carnival Zombie is a Dice Tower Essential game with new artwork and cleaned up rules. We actually considered it, but there's various reasons it didn't make the cut. I like it, though. Do you think any of the previous promo expansions for Sheriff of Nottingham will come back out? There's only 2. There was one given out at Gen Con, And then there's mine. Mine is still available. The one at Gen Con will likely also be available at other conventions. Any idea how to get a group emotionally invested in a game? I played King of New York with different groups now, and some are really into it. Others just roll the dice in silence. Well, I wouldn't play it with the ones who were in silence. I can't make a group get into a game. I'm going to get into the game. And I saw recently someone was mocking that on Star Wars Queen's Gambit. They're like, oh, it was adorable how Tom was rolling the dice in that game. Very condescending. But I don't care. Yeah, I get excited when I roll dice because it's fun. It increases the excitement and enjoyment for me when you roll and you're like, yeah! Because the more excited you get in the game, the more you're into it. And I try to get excited over Euro games too. Like, wow, look what I just did. And some games you just can't. You know, an abstract game you can't. But if I can get into a game, I'm going to. And I don't care. It's fun for me. Was Elder Sign close to making your top 10 dice games? It was not. I like it, but it wasn't in my top 10. How do you find new podcasts for the network? Do people apply or do you approach them? Lots of people apply. We've actually shut the network down right now. New podcasts don't join it because we're kind of full up. And so I guess if I had room for more, I would go hunt them down myself. I've had a lot of people ask. I don't know, actually. Could the Adventurers show up on a... Oh, that's a great game to show on a live play. Yeah, we'll show Adventurers. Good call. Do you have a line in the sand when it comes to themes being too violent? Yeah, probably. There was a gangster game. I don't remember the name of it. Mob Ties, maybe? I forget. They sent me like a thing, and it showed this guy's hand going through a meat grinder. And that was just gross. It was overly violent and gross. I'd prefer if a game is violent, that the violence be like behind the scenes. Like when we did Nothing Personal, it doesn't show like blood splatters on the gangsters and stuff. It's kind of like behind the scenes. I mean, I guess Carnival Zombie is pretty gross, and I wish it wasn't so much. But... So yeah, a game could be too violent. Will you be reviewing the Downtown Tales expansion for Mice and Mystics? I don't know. I like Mice and Mystics a lot, but I don't know if I'll be able to do every expansion because I don't know if I'll be able to play them all like I'm able to play Descent. I'm sorry, guys. I'm starting to feel a little out. I'm not sure what the deal is. Do you have any guilty pleasure games? Something that would seem to be out of left field for your tastes? Killer Bunnies I like. I shouldn't like it at all, but I do. And this person said they like Guess Who. I like Guess Who too, but I play with two players. You have to guess two different people. It completely changes the games. Did you read and like the books of the King Killer Chronicles? King Killer Chronicles. That sounds so familiar. King Killer Chronicles. Yeah, that's the name of the wind. Right. Sorry. I already answered that. I read the first two. I'd love to read the third one. I don't know when the third one's coming out. Better come out soon because I was really left hanging. It was really weird because I realized after I read these books that I had read like 5 chapters about a guy going into a tavern and just floating through the tavern, talking to people, normal conversations, singing a song, leaving. No major events happen, nothing dramatic, no main action sequences, and yet I was totally engrossed. It just didn't sound like that would be that kind of book, but I enjoyed it. In games with tons of expansions, what do you suggest getting first? Because you just whatever you think you would like. Just get the base game first. Always get the base game first. And then if you like it, then go farther. But get the base game only first. Is there a game expansion version of a game you don't own but would really like to own? No. Make videos explaining the rules to games? I'd like to, but I don't have the time to do that. I'm already busy reviewing games. So it would have to be someone different. And Rodney Smith does a great job on that. So I would just point people to his channel. I'm putting together a convention next year. What are some most important things to consider when finding and renting space? That would be a better question to ask someone who's actually done it. I help promote the Dice Tower Con. I don't actually do it. So Bill Corey might answer that, or just find someone who's actually run a convention. I apologize that I'm not the best help there. What are a few games coming out this year that you are looking forward to the most? People keep asking me that. I'm done answering that question. I apologize. I am deliberately not looking to the future. When news comes out and they announce games, I'm like, cool, and then I put them out of my mind. I'm more interested in the games that have come out. Let's talk about what's actually out there. This cult of the new thing is really kind of exhausting as it is, and there's so many games coming out. Why should I worry about games that are coming out when there are so many great games that are coming out now? So as of now, I'm no longer answering that question. I look forward to nothing. Well, I mean, I won't lie. When there's an expansion to a game, I'm like, ooh, more dice for Dice Masters, or ooh, they're coming out with expansion. That's exciting. But these new games, I'll wait till they come out, then I'll get excited about them. What do you keep in all the storage systems you have in the background of some of your videos? Dice, cubes, crystals, zombie pieces, money, more dice, HeroScape figures, wooden meeples, plastic discs, dice, little plastic chits used for games like Netrunner and Star Wars, and dice, plastic spaceships, plastic cubes, money tokens, and dice. How does one become part of the Dice Tower Network? I already answered that. Do you know when Sheriff Dining will come to stores in Europe? I don't know. I mean, 2015, but that's not very useful. I'll see what I can find out. If a Queen's Gambit style game was released with a different theme, what theme do you think would work best with? I have no idea because it fits the movie exactly. Eric mentioned puppets. That was a joke. A joke. How do you feel about people using tackle boxes, Petri dishes to organize games and play? Sure, whatever works for you, go ahead and use it. How do you feel about people accessorizing their games with dice bags, deck boxes, card sleeves, third-party tokens? Love it. What's your favorite class to play as in Descent? The Overlord. Tangled or Frozen? Tangled. Oh, they're both good, but Tangled, I like Tangled better. That launch with multiple expansions annoy you? No, they don't, but I do get concerned sometimes when I see a game with multiple expansions at the same time. But I don't know that it's a bad thing. Is this a way to sell an incomplete game? People always say this, but I would love to hear actual responses like, what game do you consider to be incomplete without the expansion? Now, there are times I play the game and I'll get an expansion, I'll go, wow, I'll never play the game without this expansion. But I don't feel like it wasn't like suddenly I was like, oh, well, I've been not having fun all this time. There's been very few games where I feel like they deliberately cut an expansion out that you need it to play the base game. I can't think of any, actually, but maybe you guys know some. One of the anti-Munchkin people on Dice Tower Showdown said that games aren't about sitting around and having fun with your friends. Do you feel this sort of elitism is bad for the hobby? I do. I don't agree with that at all. Just because it was on Dice Tower Showdown doesn't mean I agree with it. I'm totally against that. Games are about sitting around and having fun with your friends. What people are wagering on when I'm gonna give up. I'm gonna go through this thing, guys. I'm gonna do it every week. Although I may need to lay down afterwards. I'm not sure what the deal is. I got reviews to do. I don't have time to lay down. Oh, you were talking about when I would give up on the Dice Tower. Yeah, I did that a long time ago. Wow, I'm really far behind on these questions. I apologize. Do you have a favorite quest for one-off Descent games? Nah, just grab one randomly. What is your favorite class in Final Fantasy Tactics? Oh, now that's a question I can answer. The Dancer. I like having... The thing about the Final Fantasy Tactics, and if you've never played this game, you really should. It's out for the iPad. It is just an absolute amazing game. I like almost every class, all right? And I like the combinations of the class. Even the class, well, okay, Squire's not that great, but as you get these classes higher and higher, there are just some great things. Now, there are some special characters that Biblios, dude, you find in the dungeon, he's not that good. And Ray's, I think that's how you say her name, the dragon, she's okay. But for the most part, I really enjoy all the different character classes. A dancer, someone, you have to work hard to get a dancer, but a dancer can make your life easier, cast all sorts of negative effects on your opponent. The calculator can be an amazing thing, but you got to think very carefully about how you use it. Although I found that if you put the calculator on auto, the computer does a pretty good job at figuring out the math and how to destroy your opponents. And the Lancers, I really enjoy the Lancers, but I really like everything. It's just such a great game. Oh, what an amazing game. Yeah, it's my favorite computer slash video game ever. I think by a mile. Civilization 4 is pretty high up there. I also like Roller Coaster Tycoon. I like XCOM. I like yeah. There's a lot. I like video games like that, but Final Fantasy Tactics is my favorite. In Sons of Anarchy, there's more than one time someone says shut the door because they want things kept secret. What about the board game? Do you like it? I have not played the board game. My group just played it the other night, and they said, yeah, it wasn't so bad. So I don't know what that means. I'll probably give it a try. Did they say shut the door a lot in Sons of Anarchy? I hadn't noticed. That's funny, though. Actually, I think there's a video on the internet that shows that, isn't there? Can you tell us the distribution of Dice Tower fans in each country of the world? I don't know. I mean, it's obviously United States is #1 by a mile, and I know that after that, I think is Great Britain, and then Canada and Australia, and then Germany, and there's many in all countries, and I appreciate that. Have you ever taken the whole family to Disney World? I did. There was some cheap discount thing for Florida residents. We did, and I probably can't afford to do it again, but it was fun while it lasted. Have I backed Conan? No, I haven't. I'm sure that'll be a great game, but I don't usually back games because I'm not hurting for games. Do you ever get burned out playing board games? Maybe. And if I do, what do I do to recharge? I don't play board games. That's easy. And after a while, I'm like, let's play board games. Are there games that improve when they're not played with a short time in between? Almost every game. Almost every game I don't want to play multiple times in a row. Can we add a super stretch goal where you reveal Z's super secret real name? It's not super secret. It's Zunyer. Look at that. I just revealed it. Is tragedy... Okay. People asking the same questions. Though you aren't the biggest fan of Agricola. Whoa! Guys, I love Agricola. I think Agricola is great. The only reason it's not my top 100 is because Caverna replaced it for me. But I love it. Z and Sam don't like it. But I liked it a lot. Now, I think Caverna beats it in almost every single way. So I probably won't play it again because I can just play Caverna. But I think Agricola is a wonderful game. Did you ever regret? Yeah, I have, but not lately. Not lately. And most of the games I regret getting rid of, I got them back. What's your favorite small box game from AEG? Oh, Valley of the Kings. When you're the dungeon master, are you approaching it more like an RPG to make it the most fun for the heroes, or are you trying to win? I'm trying to make it the most fun for the heroes. Period. I don't ever care if I win. I want them to have a lot of fun. Has your wife family always been in the games, or did you have to warm them up to it? My family, they grew into it because I've been playing games since they've all been born. My wife played a lot of card games growing up. Rook, especially. They played Rook, 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 Rook. We have a trophy in our living room where she's the champion of Rook. But I claim that trophy as mine because there was a tournament on our college campus for Rook, and I hadn't played Rook before. So when I asked my wife to be my partner, she refused because she said she wanted someone who was good. And so I found some guy who was willing to be my partner. Now, my brother and his partner, in my opinion, were the most obnoxious and yet best Rook players that were on campus. And they were very good, but they were just obnoxious about it. And I said, look, I don't really think Rook's that great of a game. When you have a hand, it's pretty obvious in what to play. Erratic play doesn't really do a lot in this game, but they disagreed. However, when we played them in the semifinals, we beat them. We took them out, and I'm still proud of that. And when I see my brother-in-law, I remind him of that fact. My wife and her partner then beat us and went on to win the whole thing. But since I took out her hardest competition, I'm going to claim that I won that trophy. At least I need to, because all the other trophies that are in the house also belong to my wife. She had many trophies from basketball and volleyball. My wife is 5'11", so we are raising tall children. Okay. Let's see here. Lower income families can benefit from sleeving most played games like My Ticket to Ride. We play it weekly or more and it only costs me $3 to $4, including 1912. Sure, I can see that. I can see that if you sleeve a game, the cards will last longer. Although, I don't know. I've played Lost City probably 100 times. I've Lost City and I played 100 times. The cards are really beat up. But I can still play it. I don't see that. I never needed to sleeve it. I just don't see that sleeving is ever necessary. Even if you play a game a ton. And to me, if you played it a ton, and you played it, let's say, 500 times, and the cards are worn out literally, I don't think buying another copy is that big of a deal. And most people don't buy sleeves for their one game. They buy sleeves for all their games and spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars on sleeves. And many people, many of the big sleevers, who buy tons of sleeves also buy tons of games. So they hardly play their games that much anyway, so I don't really see the point. In your circumstance where you're playing one game a lot and sleeve the cards, that's legit. Of course, you can sleeve all your games you want. I don't care. I'm just saying why I don't sleeve all mine. We ever review Kanban? Yeah, at some point I think so. Maybe. Have I read Way of the Shadows? I don't think so. I always forget the different... No, I have not played Way of the Shadows. I have not read Way of the Shadows, sorry. Will I review the Star Realms expansions? Yes. I don't know why I haven't yet. I have them ready to go. That will be soon. Owning a board game store and doing what you seems like a dream. It is hard supporting a family with this job. I would say yes. Most board game store owners that I know of practically live at the store, and it would be difficult to support a family. It's also very easy for game stores to go out of business. So I'd be very cautious about thinking about that. What's the highest number of reviews you have done in 1 week? I know I've done 40 one time. I always have to do extra reviews some weeks too. So like when I'm on conventions and stuff so that the reviews still come out. I know I did 40 one time, but that was exhausting and bad and I'll never do it again. When you're not playing board games with your family, how do you spend time together? Well, we watch movies, we go to parks and the swimming pool, and we play the Wii U and things like that. Hide and seek. Let's see. Would you consider other podcasters being on the Dice Tower? Gen Con with Secret Cabal is the best every year, and the episode with Shut Up and Sit Down was fantastic. Yeah. I mentioned earlier that's why we didn't have more pledges for guests on the Dice Tower, so that we can do a little bit more of that over the coming year. Can you tell us anything about the upcoming Pandemic expansion? I know nothing about it. One of the people in my gaming group has a real problem with cooperative games. She just gets steamrolled in doing what the other players want. How can I make her feel more involved when playing? Then involve her. Say, hey, what do you think we should do? What should we do? And don't steamroll her. And if someone is steamrolling people, stop them. Favorite BattleCon devastations of Indine's character? I don't have one. I like a lot of them. Any plans to review the new X-Wing ships? Are they out? I mean, I would review them. I didn't know the new ones had come out yet. I'm looking it up now on Cool Stuff. I mean, I'll review the new X-Wing ships. I just didn't know any were out. Yeah, they're still on pre-order. I'm assuming you mean the IG-2000 and the new mercenary ships, the Most Wanted and stuff. Yeah, when that comes out, I'll review them because I really like them. What is your all-time favorite dice? I really like the new dice that I got in that Waggle Dance. Those were really fantastic dice. All-time favorite dice. That's a hard one. There's a lot of great dice out there. There's probably one that I really, really liked, and I said it, and it's slipping my mind. So we'll just go Waggle Dance for now. That's not right, though. Let's see here. Can you name a good source for third-party game items, like replacement trains for Ticket to Ride or replacement germs for Pandemic? Well, Litco and Meeple People are good, or Meeple Source. They have different things for some of the games like that. Mayday also makes some things like wooden trains for Ticket to Ride. Why are games selling out so fast? Because the hobby is growing. Are the Elder Char expansions any good? The first one was very good. I do not know about the second one. I haven't played it, although I'm going to. Are there any games that are too geeky for you? I don't understand that question. Or rather, games you do not have the patience to play because they are too awesome in some particular way. I still don't understand the question. The clarification didn't help at all there. All right, Duel of Ages 2 is still in your top 10. However, wow. However, do you get much chance to play it? No, but I'll probably do a live play of that with Melody at some point. That'd be fun. What drives you to put together the Dice Tower? I like it. How do you push yourself to complete so many reviews per week? I set myself goals and I do them. Every week I make a list of things to do. Actually, let me show you here. Every week, I make a list of things that I need to do that week. So I've actually done that, and that was about it. So I have some more things on here that I need to do, but you can see that they're not done yet. Lots of things here. There's only 3 X's on this list, but one of those X's is Board Game Breakfast, and that was a pretty big thing to do. So. But there's more things to do, and as the week goes by, and I do it at the end of the week, I'm like, I still need to do some of these things. I need to get these done. So I get cracking on those. Where'd I get those circular storage containers for Cosmic Encounter? I should never have shown those. I got those in... I don't know where. A guy in Korea said, I can get those for you. They showed up in my house in a big trash bag full of those because they don't stack at all. That's how I got them. Never figured out where they came from. Lost contact with that person. And so that's not very useful. Everyone seems to crack jokes about the increasing amount of flavor, but what theme would you love to see? I do not want to see any more themes. I don't care. The game is fine. Do you know if WizKids is planning a reprint of Dice Masters Avengers vs. X-Men? I will find out. Do you still love this game? Yes. Do you still play Conquest and Nerath? I haven't played it in a long time, but I think it's an excellent game. Would you ever consider reviewing iOS ports? No, I'm so busy reviewing as it is. Your videos are so good. Oh, well, thank you. That's not a question, but I appreciate that. Have you ever played Xing Shang? I have not. I just watched the most overrated games. Would you consider doing an updated version of that list? We're going to do an updated version of that list, but man... I need to get Sam and Z to talk to me again. They're not talking to me, but we just recorded a top 10 list. I was going to post it last week, actually, and I deleted it. I got an undelete program and tried to pull it off, and it's gone. That's a lot of work that we put into a list that we can't post. So, but it was all my fault, too. Let's see here. I can't autograph any of the stuff for the Kickstarter. It would be very difficult to remember what to autograph and not, and I don't ship the stuff. Cool stuff does for me. What's the best way to exclude a party gamer that has no clue from a planned strategic game night? Don't invite them. I mean, unless you make an open invitation, in which case you got to deal with it. Should you play without a trader the first time you play Shadows over Camelot? I don't think so. No. Add it in. Is it possible to throw games off the roof from your new house? It probably is possible, but I would have to climb up onto the roof with a ladder. I can't get out the windows. The windows here are bolted in because of, I guess I could kick them out in case of a fire, but they don't open very easily because of hurricanes. Where can I get the large 6-sided dice like on a Dice Tower Dice Baby opening? Those dice, the ones that my son are playing with, are from ChessX, and I got them at a convention at their booth. Any idea when the big... I don't know when that's going to be reprinted, the big geeky box. When doing a component drop for one of your reviews, are pieces ever damaged? Hardly ever. Like, we're talking 1 out of 1,000 games. What was the most difficult rule books that you had the best payoff? I don't know what that means. How do I handle difficult rules? I get really mad, but then I read them and play them. I will set the game up and go through it if the rules are really difficult. Who makes the deck towers on your Kickstarter? Litco does. Do you prefer Euphoria over Viticulture? They're about the same, especially with the new Viticulture expansion. What is the single hardest game you've ever played that you still enjoyed? That's a good question. I don't know. I apologize. I don't know. That's a good question, though. When will the One Night Ultimate Werewolf... Okay, guys. I'm not answering any more questions about when games are coming out. I do not work for these companies. I know that they've announced games, but I don't have a database in my head when games are coming out. I don't know. Ask them. I know that everyone thinks I have all the super secret inside information. Sometimes I know stuff, but for the most part, I don't know release dates. We keep a calendar on Dice Tower Con where you can see what games may or may not be coming out soon, but that is not a guaranteed thing. I cannot tell you for sure when games are coming out. Do you know anyone in the police force? My brother. Well, it's not that I didn't lose the the movies off my computer. They were on an SD card, and then I recorded over them with other videos. So the amount of money I would have to spend to get somebody to... I probably could get them off if I found like a professional, but the amount of money wouldn't be worth it. We can just re-record it. It was an hour of recording. What was the top 10 of? It was the top 10 games of 2005, 10 years ago. What do you think about including content in Spanish into the Dice Tower? Probably not worth it because it would be confusing. Someone would be like, "Oh, I want to see this review," and then it would be in Spanish. And then Spanish people would want to find, "Oh, that's in English." We'd have to differentiate. It's just better that it's in its own channel. What's better, Command & Color Napoleonics or Ancients? I like Ancients better. When can we expect a comparison to Zombie 15 and Escape from Zombie City? I know I keep saying it soon, but again, soon. Are you excited for One-Upmanship 2? Is that a real thing? I don't... You have to give me a link for that one. Oh! Looks like time's up. Guys, I'd like to go longer, but I really have a bad headache, and I apologize if that came through. I don't mean to. You guys have been fantastic. This Kickstarter is amazing. But right now, I'm not doing so hot. But I do appreciate... I hope I'm not getting sick, because I got stuff to do this week. But I do appreciate you all asking questions. I do appreciate everyone who backed the Dice Tower or helped in any way. And so I'm very excited to see where we're going to go in the future. Again, I'll try to keep doing these Q&As every week. So if you don't get your question answered, bring it back. Wow, there's so many questions. I keep thinking they're going to run out, and yet people keep asking more questions. And I apologize when I can't rattle an answer off the top of my head. So we'll see. All right, anyhow, guys, I really appreciate all of you watching. I hope that you have a fantastic week. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.